Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk tonight, and I'm going to try to go through the facts on the mine for our payroll. We have about 15 full-time employees ourselves, and we employ another 150 consultants to build this project. The other type of copper, which makes about 90% of our copper, is what's called the sulfide copper. And it goes through a milling process, and we concentrate it. The concentrate gets shipped out, and it gets sent to a smelter and refined somewhere. So of that, once we're up and running, we'll produce about 200 million pounds of concentrate and about 20 million pounds of copper from cathodes. Another thing is take advantage of modern technology, which is the new computer systems you have, the GPS system you have, the size of equipment. So use the modern equipment to start this mine. Now we get into a little more of the water. If you look at the Rosemont mine, it's located again on the east side of Santa Rita. Our water line is coming from down by Sarita Road, down by where the pecan fields are. That's where our well field is. We're pumping out of Tucson Aquifer. The reason we chose to pump out of Tucson Aquifer is because it's a large aquifer, and you can also recharge it, so you put water back and you take out of it. One of the things we looked at is trying to minimize the water use first, trying to make this mine as water conservation as possible. So we looked at things as filtering our tailings instead of putting ponds. We have everything, we have a plant covered so we can minimize evaporation. You also hear about traffic on the road. What kind of trucks you would see the biggest trucks driving are the highway legal trucks like this one, and be hauling concentrate. And so you will see those trucks. From the traffic studies we've done, what it shows is that as we build the project, we'll have pull-out lanes when we come into the mine site. So we'll have a set of pull-out lanes and pull-off lanes. And it recommends putting also some slow pull-out lanes on some of the hills, so the trucks can pull off on the pull-out lanes and cars and passengers are going by to minimize the effect of traffic. There's probably a lot of questions. I want to have some time to answer questions, so I am ready to start answering questions here.
You are a Canadian company?
Augusta is a Canadian company. Rosemont Copper is an Arizona corporation, but it's only a subsidiary of Augusta. And just to kind of, the people in Rosemont here, are all U.S. citizens in Rosemont here. The jobs are going to be here in Arizona for Rosemont, and Augusta is a public company.
This is a stupid question, but if you're going to be pumping our drinking water out of the ground for your mine and giving us river water to replace it, why don't you just take the river water and put it to your mine?
That's a good question. Yeah, I wish we could. We don't have an allocation to the CEP canal. We have to buy what's called excess allocation, excess rights. So if there's water in a certain year, like what there's been these last couple of years, there's excess water available in the CEP. We buy excess allocations at that time and we pump them into the ground. Because we don't have an allocation to the CEP water. So we can't use the water directly. We have no insurance, we can get it every year. Whereas the groundwater we do.
Okay, so if you don't have access to that water every year, what happens to our drinking water when you can't get that water from the river?
And that's why exactly we've been trying to form a bank of it ahead of time, get ourselves ahead, so if they have a couple of years where maybe a drought where you can't get it, we already have a surplus built up. Like right now, we have 8 years worth of water put into Tucson Aquifer, we haven't started mining yet.
Can you tell me how many pits we will eventually have there? I know you're only working on one now, but I understand there's going to be 4 in the near future.
No, if you look at the mine plan of operations for the Forest Service, there's one pit shown on there, and we can't do anything without going back for a revision on that with the Forest Service. Right now, our ore body is concentrated around that one pit. It doesn't show that there's any substantial pits around there. You have to have an ore deposit big enough to support a pit. We don't see that right now.
Well, how about Copper Top? You're telling all your investors that there's plenty more.
We have reserves that go across the west side. We have no plan to mine those. And if they ever tried to mine those, they'd have to go through the whole EIS process again.
Who's going to buy this copper you're producing?
You know, right now the copper, it's a global product. We don't know who's going to buy it right now. So we don't have any agreements put in place to buy the copper. But let me tell you, talk about one of your questions probably is, where it's going to be smelted. I guess that's probably a good question. Right now in the U.S., there's not smelter capacity to smelter all the copper here in the U.S. So more than likely something has to be smelted overseas somewhere, because they shut down the smelters at Samuel, they shut down the El Paso smelters, so we don't have enough smelter capacity. We love the smelter all here in the US. And then who buys it? It's an open market. We can't control that. Surface and the minerals. And then there's also what's called unpatented mining claims. Those unpatented mining claims are the newer mining claims where we have the mineral rights to underground, we don't have the surface rights. We have the rights to use the surface for different things, like where the ore that's not minerals, we can put on the surface and build our facilities and things on. So there's two types of claims.
So you mentioned,
It's not an easy process to get mine started.
No, but it is an incredibly impossible, nearly impossible situation to get any mining stopped. You have the opportunity.
Good evening. My name is Charles Field. I live in Green Valley, and I've lived in Arizona for a very, very long time. And I'm going to bring up another concern. A lot of people have given me their concerns, but I have seen Inspiration Copper come through. I've seen Kennecott come through. I've seen ASNR come through. I've seen Duval come through. Phelps Dodge, great people come through. Freeport McMahon. And of course, many people don't know that Grupo is in Mexico, and they're here now. We've just gone through 2 or 3 years of major environmental negotiations between who's going to pay for everything, because Masarco went bankrupt. Everything you have said can be for naught if your organization goes bankrupt. I don't expect to see Freeport here in 5 years. They'll sell it. I would be surprised they did, and you might do the same thing. So the people who take over from you have no responsibility for all the things that you're saying. We had major land frauds here that have been involved in for 4 years. Rio Rico was total land fraud. What the state did, and I'd like for you to do, is the developers used to promise this, and that. The state finally said, you developers must put the money up front. So when a developer now promises a community center or a golf course, they must put the money in trust. I'd love to see your organization put $1 billion in trust before you start doing anything for the people of Green Valley and on the east side of 83.
You know, it's a tough one to comment on. You're right, there's never a guarantee the same company that's here is going to be here later. I mean, things do change, but one thing is that you have an obligation with the Forest Service, your EAS, your mine plant operations. That's a written contract you have to follow. Someone else would buy our company, they have to follow the same thing. They have to do things the same way.
Yes, sir, I have some questions. Will this not close that entire area to public and recreational use? And also, I'm concerned about the private car use on 83 of all these employees that you're going to have. I understand you had a traffic study done that was based on 75 to 100% carpool.
What we're doing is, one of the things we can control traffic is by actually carpooling for our employees. We're setting up carpooling parking places in Green Valley. We'll have them in Cerrito, we'll have them in Tucson, we'll have them in Vail, so the employees can meet there in carpool and vans so we can minimize the traffic coming in to the mine site that way. I apologize, I forgot the rest of the question.
Well, the other question was, won't this close that entire area of public land to us for recreational use from then on?
See, that was one of our goals from day one, is to try to minimize the land space we use for this mine site. So by basically going up with our facility, keeping everything compact, we're able to use about half the land a typical mine this size would use. And so we are.
Rosemont doesn't have 11 to 12,000 acres of unpatented mining claim?
11 to 12,000 acres of unpatented mining claim.
Yes.
The total permit area is 15,000 acres, okay? And of that, I believe we're about 2,000, so that would make, 13 to 12,000 are unpatented mining claims. but the mine impact
You
area.
just finished telling her with 3,000.
I said that's the area that's impacted by mining, okay? The mining covers 4,400 acres. And of that, 3,300 acres are untapped. The whole permit area is 15,000 acres.